Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim and welcome to Tim Talks, the show that's only partially a show but really is just an excuse for me to talk to some of my very talented friends. And I have another one here with me today. She is the model, photographer, and part-time video maker, Courtney Crawford. Welcome.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I love your room, by the way. That mirror is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. My snazzy mirror.
So for those who may not be familiar with what you do or who you are, tell us, give us a brief little Reader's Digest version of what you do.
Basically, I'm sort of like an artist turned photographer turned model. That's basically what I do. I model, I do photography, and I do a little bit of artwork.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so what, tell us a little bit like how your process of kind of getting there, I guess, would be the first place to start, because most people don't really start off in that path.
Yeah, basically, I mean, I just used to just draw pictures of people. Like on the RT community site and stuff like that, I would just draw pictures of people. That was basically how I got recognized. It's just being like, hey, I like this person, they're big in the community, I'm just going to draw them. Yeah. So that was basically kind of how I got recognized, and then I just started doing like fan art and different things like that, and that's kind of how I started.
And so you went from that to doing digital art where you could actually buy some of it, which is probably my favorite part. You've actually found a way to turn your passion into money,
it took me a while to do commissions. I really just drew for the heck of it, but I was finally like, okay, I think I can try to finally do commissions with this sort of stuff. So I did that, and that went off really well. And
what was your first one that kind of blew up big?
As far as just prints or commissions?
Either.
I don't really know. I just had a few of them that just went really big. There was not really this one that was just like, oh, amazing or something like that. It was just like, I guess collectively people recognized my artwork, and so they just wanted one of their own. Because at the time I had sort of like a signature look, I guess you would say. So, and I think that's really important whenever you're doing stuff. If you want people to like it, or if you want people to recognize you, to make it like really signature and make it your own.
Well, I'll tell you this, you could really tell, especially like when you look at some of the stuff that's available on the Society 6 website, especially like my favorites are like The Doctor, and then Man of Iron, and Foxanthemum is really up there too, but it's not really that same style that I'm talking about here. It's very almost, patchwork isn't the right word. It would be patchwork if patchwork were made with Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like that. I like the way that you can, because I'm really into photo manipulation. So I love doing that sort of like abstract, but there's something in the abstract. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is. And kind of having your mind complete the rest of the picture makes you feel kind of a part of the art as well, which is hard to do. I mean, because drawing.
It goes into that whole thing where art's not supposed to be perfect. It's just supposed to be beautiful. Right. So that's really it.
Fair enough. Yeah. And so then how did you transition from doing pictures of other people to doing pictures of yourself?
It was weird because basically I'm really my only subject. So I wanted to take pictures of people and just basically experiment with it. But I was the only person that I had to take a picture of. So I just went on eBay one day and got like a shutter release for my camera so that I could take pictures. And then I just started modeling in front of the camera, and I posted a few of them, and people wanted prints of them, so I was like, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a good way to get started.
Whatever you want,
It's crazy what happens when you have to do things under certain conveniences.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have very many resources, you don't have very much to work with, but you still find creative solutions around it.
Because like I have no official equipment. I don't have anything. I have a nice camera and I have a shutter release. That's all I have. I have no technical lighting. I have nothing. So I spend a good hour in Photoshop afterward just adjusting my lighting.
Right. So then describe the process of actually shooting, because you then shoot yourself.
Yeah. So basically
from the poses that you make, which if you've seen some of them can probably be pretty difficult.
It can be extremely difficult, and I'll be honest, there's some photos because I can't put my camera like all that far back because my room is very small.
Right.
So what I have to end up doing sometimes is I'll have to take one photo and merge it into another just to get my full body.
I see.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, so, no, a little bit of camera trickery.
It is, but it manages to look good. But no, I'll just hang up a sheet or something like that, like right here, like a white sheet, and set up my camera and just basically take a few test photos just to see if the camera's pointed in the right direction, and then just start shooting.
And then go for it.
Yeah, and just see if I get anything good. And at the end of it, I'll either like everything or I'll like one pose and I'll be like, okay, I guess that's the one I'm using.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean. The rest of it is just crap.
It's
crap,
garbage.
Crap.
Yeah.
All of it crap.
I end up deleting a good 50 or 60, so.
So then how often do you shoot?
Not that often. There's sometimes where I'll shoot weekly. I don't always post everything because I don't maybe end up liking them or something like that. But
of course.
About maybe at least once every 2 weeks. So.
And is there something in particular that you're trying to go for? Do you have, say, like an image of this perfect picture in your brain that you're going for?
I do. Usually what I'll do first is I'll go on like DeviantArt or something like that, and I'll see different either poses that I want to try, or I'll see different photos that I want to recreate.
Right.
So, because that's how I get inspired, really, is by other people's things, and then I try to do it my own way. Because, of course, I'm not going to look like the model in the picture. So, so basically, I'll just try to get inspiration. I'll see if I have, like, the right outfit or anything like that, and then I'll just try to recreate it the best I can. And normally, it doesn't even look the same as what I was trying to create, but I like it anyway.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But it looks close enough for you to be able to have that personal attachment to it because you know where it came from. Yeah. And then to everyone else, it's something unique and wholly beautiful of its own creation.
Yeah. So.
And then it's amazing how much that inspiration of creativity comes in and you're able to just mold it into something.
Yeah.
I've often described someone creating their own style as just mashing together every inspiration they've ever had in life.
That's completely true. Like that's completely true. Like, especially whenever I'm moving more further away from artwork. But whenever I was really big into artwork, the biggest thing that I would do is just play video games all day because I would get inspired by them. And I would be like, oh, I want to make this landscape or something like that, or I want to recreate this creature or something. So it's just creativity just everywhere.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. So then, speaking of video games, you have done some for your YouTube channel.
I have.
Which is...
Let's not talk about that because they're not complete.
Well, it seems like one of those things where you started with a nice big hurrah and then life happens.
Basically. And also just because everything that I was recording was from my computer, and it's just hard for me to record on my computer because my computer is crap. Yeah. But no, basically it also boils down to the fact that I'm a big pansy and I get scared with horror games. So especially because I was playing Amnesia and all that sort of thing, it literally got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna have a heart attack if I go any further. I can't do it myself.
You have to do it at short, like 20-minute bursts.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get out, you see the outside for a minute, let your heart rate calm back down, and then you dive back in to get your pants scared off again.
I need one of those heart rate monitors, and people can watch me freak out.
I always thought that was what the Wii U was going to be used for.
Yeah, it should
to make games that kind of react to your heartbeat.
Yeah.
But no.
Or
to be fair,
play on your fears too. Like have a little questionnaire at the beginning and like really play on your fears, like what you're afraid of and stuff like that. Like really tailor it to you. That would be awesome.
That could be what the Kinect is used for. I mean, with the new Xbox One Kinect, they can read your skeletal freaking readings and heartbeat and body heat, and I mean, like,
I know nothing about the Xbox One, so
this thing can read your body heat and your heart rate and like all kinds of crazy stuff. Exactly. And so it could be used in that same way to where it kind of tracks your heart rate and know when you're getting tense or scared or blah 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 blah.
Or like a really quiet moment and your heart rate is beating really fast or whatever, and then it just surprises you.
Of course, that does require nobody else being around.
It does.
So that kind of forces you back into that solo gaming experience.
Then you could just play it in the dark and just be completely alone.
Yeah.
Which is what you should never do if you're playing a horror game, just FYI.
No, I'm not a fan of horror stuff myself.
I've
never really been.
I love horror, and that's like I was you. I never used to like horror. I didn't watch my first horror movie until I was like 22. It was a long time, but no, I love horror. But the thing is that I love good horror. I like to be scared. I don't want these like cheesy horror or something like that. I like to be really scared.
I think that's part of my problem. Because I love doing special effects makeup. I've done a lot of that stuff. I've done a lot of the stuff that eventually goes into horror movies.
Yeah.
I love the process of. But as far as like sitting down and watching a movie, if I can figure out what's going to happen the first 5 minutes into the movie, the rest of the movie, I'm just going to sit there and do the thing that people do who work in this business and analyze every single frame and be like, this sucks. This is why this sucks. I can see the shadow over here.
If it's predictable, and then whenever it finally happens, you just turn to your friend and be like, I told you that was going to happen.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And that's how you lose friends at the theater.
It is.
Oh, goodness. As you can tell, that's happened to me before.
Yeah.
So, you did a lot of vlog type stuff for the channel as well. It wasn't just video games.
Yeah. At the beginning of it, I did vlogs almost every single day. Just with my iPhone or whatever. And that was kind of a pain in the butt because I would always try to upload it from my iPhone, and it took like, I'm not even kidding, one vlog took like 3 hours to upload from my phone. I was like, oh my God, it's draining my battery.
Yeah, not surprised. And I mean, the crazy thing, I wonder how much it has to do with your phone and how much it has to do with YouTube servers. Because YouTube servers absolutely suck. This hour-long interview is going to be about, I'm going to say 3 gigs when it's done. And it's going to take about 600 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy.
600. You heard that here. It's going to be
easy.
600.
Yeah. And that's the measurement it gives me. I'm too lazy to sit here and do the math. Should be 10 hours? Yeah.
just leave it going overnight. It'll be uploaded in the morning. It's fine.
Exactly. That's basically what I do.
That's how I upload anything. If I upload anything, I just edit all night, and then I just leave it to upload. So. Yep.
But, I mean, that's editor life. You know, that's what we subscribe to. That's what we love to do. You sit here. I'm going to have to watch through this entire thing over again, having already done it. To put in all the little video clips and things that we've talked about already, because that's what I do to make a nice little presentational thing.
Yeah.
And you sit there and stare at every single curve of yourself and have to be the most critical of yourself that you can possibly be.
Then by the time you're done, you're so sick of hearing your own voice that you want to pull your hair out.
Yep. Exactly. I can't imagine sitting there and doing it for photographs.
Yeah.
I mean, because
you have to be so meticulous, like
exactly, and the amount of scrutiny that you have to have against yourself, it will be difficult, I imagine, to not carry that forward.
Because even just the smallest thing, you're just like, if I had just had my leg positioned a different way, it would have been perfect, and you can't do that because you've already taken the photo.
Right. Or I'm starting to get that little flap underneath your butt where it's starting to fold. So I need to do more squats. Yeah. It's kind of what I'm really... And it's hard to be that rough on yourself. But really, that's the only way you get the best version of yourself. Yeah. Let's be honest about it.
You're your own biggest critic.
Yeah. But it's for the purpose of making the best. Yeah. Not for the purpose of just being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's an important distinguishment, I think.
And even trying to do the modeling stuff, you want the best for whatever it is that you put out there. So you try to make yourself look good first, and then you just work on your photos later.
Yeah, exactly. So then I imagine you just use Photoshop?
I do use Photoshop mainly just for the lighting, because the lighting in my room sucks pretty bad. Like, I have like a lamp right there. Like, that's all I have. So I really have to work on, I watch a lot of YouTube tutorials about lighting and stuff in Photoshop, so I'm getting pretty good at that.
Nice.
So basically just that, and if I have to like smooth out anything, it's really minor stuff. It's not like a lot of stuff.
And so I imagine it was all self-taught?
Basically everything was self-taught. I hated Photoshop. I was so against using Photoshop because for my artwork I used Paint Tool Sci. I don't know if you've heard that one before.
Yes,
but I used that one and I love that. But for editing photos, it just doesn't have enough customization. So I got Photoshop, and I played around with it for probably like an hour, and I was like, this is the hardest thing. I'm never going to be able to learn Photoshop. I don't know how people do this. There's so many buttons, there's so many commands, like there's so many everything. There's so much. And so I started watching these YouTube tutorials on YouTube called it was called Flurn. I don't know if you've heard that. It's basically Photoshop and Learn, like so Flurn.
Right.
But they have amazing tutorials on Photoshop, amazing. So I just learned everything from that. Not even everything.
I had to do the same thing with Premiere and After Effects, and they had ones for Photoshop as well. I used Linda, were the ones that I used, and they kind of do the same thing, I imagine. That, and I love just the freedom that you have of once you kind of learn the basics of a program from something like that, you can just play.
Yeah.
You know, once that's when using a program like that goes from being difficult to being fun.
It does, because when you know the basics, and then you can just branch out from that.
Yep, exactly. And you can be like, I wonder what this effect does. Oh, let me tweak this up and down a little bit to find out exactly.
You can combine effects and just make up your own. And
oh, this turns me green. I wonder what I could use that for. And the stuff that you learn helps mold the content that you make later.
Because you can be like in the middle of a shoot or something and be like, oh, I could use this certain thing on this pose or like anything. So
exactly,
that's pretty awesome.
Exactly. I love how it all just kind of feeds into each other, and it can eventually snowball into something really cool if you just, I don't know, get out of your own way. Is that
basically
the right way to put it?
Basically, it's sort of like, instead of thinking about how hard it's going to be, you could just be like, well, I'll just, figure it out some other way or something. So it's pretty awesome.
Now, segueing just a little bit, quite hardly, I might imagine. I hear a little bit of homely twang from you. I'm from Augusta, Georgia. What part of Georgia are you from?
I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia.
Yep, knew it. It's amazing how much you could just hear the angs and ongs and it just dead giveaway every time.
I get so self-conscious because I don't hear it myself. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh crap, I really should have said that. But no, like all of my friends, because I have like a lot of Canadian friends and Yankees and all that, and they'll be like, wow, Courtney, did you really just say that? And I'll be like, yes, I just said that. I'm sorry.
It happens really bad for me when I talk to my dad or any one of my families. Yeah. I'm just, hey, y'all, how's it going? Man, I miss y'all so much. I wish I could get back over there, but, I'm just so busy. And all this kind of...
And that's one thing, though, is I've never really said y'all.
Yep.
It's not. I just would rather say you guys.
I mean, you see what I'm drinking on. You can take the boy out of the South, but you can't take the South out of the boy.
Let me just slowly applaud your sweet tea. Okay, I'm done.
I got one of those $20 little automated brewer pitchers from Walmart.
Yeah.
And they're perfect. Oh,
this is the southern part of the interview. It's just we're talking about sweet tea and tea brewers.
I finally exposed my roommate to cornbread.
Oh my God!
Speaking of corn, like good old Jiffy corn mix in the blue box. Yep.
Some cornbread and chili.
And then he went and stuck my cast iron skillet in the dishwasher.
You don't do that.
No.
No, you don't do that.
No.
Can we take a moment of silence for your skillet?
It came out all kinds of rusted, and thankfully I ended up being able to salvage it. You just washed it off with a little scouring pad that we had, and coated it with oil, which is what you're supposed to do, by the way. If you have a cast iron skillet,
you're just like, God damn it! You made it all clean. I have to make it dirty again.
And he's like, I don't get it. It was gross. And I was like, what you're supposed to do is just clean off all the crud and then put it back in the cabinet.
It's supposed to be gross. It's from the South. It's supposed to be dirty.
Oh, I love it so much. I love it. It's amazing to just notice all of those little things that
because you don't notice it until someone points it out.
Exactly. And they're just natural to you as a kid.
This is how my family did it.
Yeah, this is life. This is how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like us calling every carbonated beverage a cola.
Oh, yeah. Because, the Coke plant is right there. Yeah. So if you don't call it that, they're going to hear you.
Yeah. It's like it's not pop, it's not soda, it's cola.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right? Thank you. Oh. So, you have also, I want to ask you about the Ask Book.
Yeah. The Ask Book is, it's probably my biggest accomplishment, just because from the moment I was maybe 13, 14, I was just like, my biggest goal in life, I want to publish a book. That's my biggest goal in life. I don't care what else I accomplish. I just want to publish a book. And so, of course, this one was technically self-published. It's through Amazon, but still technically it's self-published.
It's amazing that Amazon has that kind of capability.
It's so awesome. And once I found it out, I was just like, oh my God, I'm writing a book. I'm just writing a book. I'm publishing it. It's going to be great. So basically, I published it through CreateSpace, which is through Amazon. And it took a lot of proofing. It took a really long time. But finally, it hit the Amazon website. And I was just like, I just sat there and stared at it for the longest time. I was just like, I was so proud of you. It's just so beautiful. Look, there's my name. My name is right there. It's great. But no,
that's probably the best thing in the world.
It is. But no, I just compiled a bunch of from my for my blog, my blog is technically for my own personal, like, I guess, modeling and stuff like that, but it's also a help blog. So at any time, I'll just be like, if anybody has any questions or just needs help with life or whatever, just message me. I'll do my best to help you. I get a lot of replies, so I don't always get to message everyone, but I do my best to just like help anybody that I can. But so basically, I just took a bunch of my most, I guess you would say, interesting asks, and just compiled them all into a book. And then I also asked the community for fan art or pictures that they wanted in the book. So I wanted to really make it as much about them as me. Right. So I basically just compiled a whole bunch of pictures that the community drew, put their names on it so that they were credited, and then just piled a bunch of asks and stuff like that in it, and then just made a book.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping to make another one, sort of like a Ask Book Volume 2 or whatever, in the near future. At the moment, I'm working on a novel just because I wanted to create a novel so badly. But don't ask anything about it because I really don't even know specific details about it, even myself. But so I'm hoping to do the novel first and then maybe another Ask Book.
Something a little bit more narrative driven.
Yeah, more fiction sort of thing. So
less help, more fiction.
Yes, less help, more fiction. Because I've made so many little small snippets of novels, and I just need to focus on one and just finish it.
I recently remembered that I made one of those Ask.fm things myself.
Oh,
and
God.
It's really fun to sit there and just kind of like, I don't know, disseminate good into the world. Just be like, I'm going to give you my worldly advice for whatever that's worth, and you can take it or leave it. But you know what? I end up leaving feeling a little bit better. Yeah.
And that's my whole thing, is that I make sure that anytime that I give somebody advice, I tell them that it's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because they need to decide what they want to do with their life. Like, it's their own, like, they need to tailor it to their life and what's going to work for them. But I tell them, like, hey, if I was in your situation, this is what I would do.
Exactly. And the thing about that is, it's not as though you're trying to say that you know better than them. It's that I'm coming from a place where I seem like I can make decent decisions. Yeah. I'm at a pretty good place, so I think I can. I think my reasoning can be trusted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes my reasoning can be trusted, but
yes. That caveat is definitely important.
Especially if you've gone through it yourself. So, like, if they ask anything, and I can be like, okay, I've experienced this myself. Here's my advice. You can do whatever you want to, but this is what happened to me. This is what worked for me. Yada yada yada.
Yeah. So. Oh, I'm 18 and the love of my life is gone. Oh, honey.
Sweetheart.
Oh, honey.
You don't even know.
Exactly. Because that's usually what comes around. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
And
of course it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, especially when you're the one going through it. But, I mean, it's just like, you just need to calm down. It's going to be okay. Life is going to go on.
Overly sensitive people are just my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get to sit there and stroke their little hand and be like, honey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I promise it's going to be okay. And then they're like, you're such a strong person. I don't know how to deal with it.
And, I'm just you're sitting there nodding, but in the inside you're going, I'm really not.
No, I'm not dealing with any of this. Yeah. I'm just having to.
I'm giving you all of this advice, but I will not take it myself.
Oh, good gracious. Trust me. I feel ya.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I have not had any sort of partner in a while.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Truthfully, though, that can be a really good thing. It can be a lot of self-discovery, a lot of reflection. You can kind of get done what you want to do personally, so that all of that's out of your system, and then just focus on somebody else.
My feeling is, right now, with what I'm trying to do, it's just much easier to plan for one.
Yeah.
And I would want to be the best freaking boyfriend to her that I could possibly be.
Yeah.
And I can't do that and pursue this as hard as I possibly can.
Exactly. Unless you have somebody who is extremely supportive, and that is very hard to find.
Or is in the same career path, and they completely understand.
Yeah.
And you can't chase two hares and catch either of them.
Yeah.
They're ancient Chinese proverb.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Especially if you are with someone who is not a part of, like, the online community or something like that, they just do not understand. Right. And it's hard for them to understand. They're just like, you do stuff online? Like, what? I don't get it.
And so often you'll hear about relationships that break up over long hours at work. You know, people having to work 14 to 16 hours to shoot something, and then the getting home and the girlfriend being like, well, you work too much.
Yeah.
Or the boyfriend being like, I miss seeing you all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I love you, but I can't.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that. When I'm here, I will give you 100% of me, but you kind of have to understand. And so it's just much easier to plan for one, and I don't have to deal with all that. I won't hurt anybody again. And, you know, that grenade is just completely dodged for her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As far as I'm
And then
concerned.
hopefully you can attract somebody who is used to seeing your active lifestyle or whatever, and they know that already instead of having to get accustomed to it.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. It's just much, like I said, it's just much easier that way.
Yeah.
You get tired of
It's so much easier just worrying about yourself.
Yeah, you get so tired of hacking and slashing your way through hurt people, you know? Because that's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
It's not me that ends up hurting you. I mean, yes, that does, but I can get over it because I'm pretty strong. I'm an insult Navy SEAL. I mean, through a lot of past stuff, you end up just sort of getting immune to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yes, it seems a little bit cold, but so be it. You know, we broke up. I am moving on. Whether she broke up with me or I broke up with her, regardless, my feelings are the same. It's over now. The past is behind us.
Yeah.
And it's hard then to kind of see somebody who doesn't think that way, and you're like, but how do you not understand? You should be able to see this.
Yeah.
How does everybody not see this?
Yeah.
You have to remember that everybody doesn't have the same worldly experience as you.
Yeah, it's true. And some people are very emotional, some people are not emotional at all. And that has a big thing to do with it, so.
Yeah. So it's neat to be able to help people when you can.
Yeah.
And I like that you take the extra time to do so.
Yeah.
I think was the whole point I wanted to get it to behind that.
One of my favorite things to do is possibly just like, okay, people, I'm going to bed in like an hour. I need to wind down. So just ask me as many questions as you want to. I'll reply to everything until I fall asleep.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing to do.
So then what do you do when you're not working?
Oh, God. I work on work. Basically, if I'm not working, if I'm not doing a photo shoot or something like that, I'll mess around in Photoshop. Mm-hmm. That's basically because I love doing it anyway. I'll just take, because I love photo manipulation. So I'll take a photo that I found and just like tweak it and do my own things to it and just make it completely different than whenever I saw it. And it's just something fun for me to do. So I'll do that, or I'll just I love going outside and just being outside. I'm an outside person. If the weather's nice, not if the weather is too hot or whatever. And being from the South, it gets hot pretty often. But if it is a beautiful day outside, I'm not doing anything. I'm going outside, listening to music. That's all I'm doing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be very appealing.
Yeah.
It's probably a good 114
right
now.
It's every day it's been about 80 degrees. And in the shade, that's not too bad.
No.
Yeah, it's not too bad in the shade. In the sun, it's like, just kill me now. So. But.
It's funny when you come out to a completely different version of the South, because I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
It is still technically the South, but it's completely different. I'm used to Georgia and South Carolina that are lush and gorgeous and green, and everything's pine trees everywhere.
In Texas, it's more dry, right?
It's flat.
Yeah.
And dry, and the trees are not very high, and so you can just see for miles.
Yeah, and see here, it's like hot and humid, and it's.
Yeah, exactly. That different kind of heat absolutely makes a huge difference. And you can't see anything, and all the trees are just right on you, so there's no wind blowing around. You know, everything is just stifling.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I ended up working on a movie that shot out in a swamp in Louisiana.
Oh, the bayou.
That was not fun, because it was gross and muddy and buggy and sticky.
The kind of gross where even if you take a shower, you're still like, I'm just so dirty. I'm still so dirty.
I'm crusted over with sunscreen and bug block and sweat. I have this impenetrable armor on now, and dirt. Don't forget dirt. You cannot forget dirt. And you know, the funny part is, I mean, we were absolutely having to roll around in it because that's what the scenes required, you know, and yeah, I ended up having to just cover my entire car in plastic, like the inside, and so that way once I sat down in it, I could actually get home without feeling guilty.
You just look at it and go, okay, I'm gonna have to have you reupholstered when I get home.
My poor car.
Your poor car.
God, I ground so much mud into that freaking floor panel on the driver's side.
But then you look at it and you're just like, we have memories.
Oh yeah,
We
no,
have so many
absolutely.
memories.
Absolutely.
That's what dirt is. It's not dirt, it's memories.
Character.
Yes, it's character.
Yes, it's character.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of like shoes and t-shirts and such from theater that have paint and
Yeah.
splatters and holes and drills and yeah.
Because it's funny because you can always remember whenever you got the hole or the paint splatter or something. You're just like, I remember that.
Did you go to any schooling, college?
I did not.
No?
Everything that I learned was self-taught. So,
And what prompted that decision?
I don't know. I loved, as a child, up until probably around 17, I strictly drew anime. So, whenever I was a kid, I watched just a ton of Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, all of that sort of stuff. So that was my entire bunch of...
Basically the Toonami block when she got back from school.
The Toonami. Oh, God, I love Toonami.
Oh, yeah.
I love Toonami.
Me too.
But just either Toonami or Miyazaki. Like, everything that I watched growing up was either Miyazaki or Toonami. Everything. So, basically, what I would do whenever I was a kid is I would draw... I'm a little entrepreneur whenever I was a child. I would draw my drawings, and then I would go around trying to sell them to my family members. That's what I would do. I would create a shop. I had everything set up, and I would just force them to come down, and I would be like, okay, this is $1. This is 25 cents.
That's fantastic.
That's what I would do whenever I was a little kid, and trying to make money even back then. But
born with business acumen.
It was. I knew that I could make a profit. But no, what I would do whenever I was a little bit older is to try to practice more. This was back in the days of VCR, and so I would tape whatever show I wanted to watch, and then I would go back and I would pause it, and I would just draw whatever was on the screen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I drew this picture one time of Bulma from Dragon Ball Z. It was probably the best thing I ever drew in my entire life. No idea where that picture is now, but it was the best thing I ever drew in my life, and because every once in a while I would have it on pause for so long that it would just stop, and I would have to go back and rewind it and get to the thing again.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
that was the bad thing about VCRs, was that they never stayed paused. And so I drew that. I drew an amazing picture of Bulma, and I have no idea where it is now. But I did all of that just by looking at it on the screen and all that. So
I love all that kind of stuff. I did little audio plays when I was a kid with my little brother, where we would sit there in front of the radio and just record each other doing DJ stuff, and then and telling stories and funny voices.
Yeah, you look back on it now and be like, I was doing that even whenever I was a kid. That's pretty cool.
It's crazy how your life just sort of ends up leading to a point, but you never realize it until you're at the point.
Yeah, that's why I'm one of those people who, like, if a kid has a strong passion for something, you just need to let them do it. So if my kid, like, ran around with a what do you call it? Oh my God, camcorder. So whatever. Oh my God, what am I trying to say? A camcorder. I would just be like, okay, I'm just buying this kid as much camcorder equipment as possible. Let him do his dream and all that sort of stuff. So.
I will say this: one thing that my family did to one thing my family pressured me into that I'm very grateful that they did now, is they made me get a business minor.
Oh, okay.
When I was in undergrad, they said you can get a theater major, but you have to get a business minor.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I use it every freaking day. Oh my God. Marketing, advertising.
Yep.
Different techniques of management, how to talk to other people, how to interact, how to give commands without giving commands.
Yeah.
Every day. Making a budget, every day.
And now it's one of those things where your parents can go, I told you so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know we know best.
So what next? What is on your plate next?
Basically right now, I'm just trying to focus on my photography. I'm trying to get better, maybe get better equipment, not the janky stuff that I have at the moment, but basically just working on my photography. I really, 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 really want to focus on my books, my novels, and stuff like that, and hopefully try to get that more well-known, become a little bit more of an author than I am currently at the moment, because that was my second passion. Is whenever I was a little kid, I wanted to be a cartoonist. And then after I didn't want to be a cartoonist, I just was like, I just want to be an author. That's all I want to be, as an author. So
well, you need to get somebody behind the camera so that way the shoots will go faster, and then you have more time on the writing.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely focusing on my photography. I would like to actually do some shoots with people one day.
Right.
so that of course I didn't have to do everything, and just because I like seeing other people's take on stuff, like their.
Do you like doing people, or are you like, is that, what am I trying to ask here? Oh, do you have like people is your favorite subject, or are you willing to do like landscapes or still life or
I
anything like that too, or is just people your thing?
I love doing still life. Also, as far as landscapes and stuff like that go, if I have my camera with me, I'll constantly just be taking pictures.
Right.
Whether I like it or not, I'll just be like, "Oh, that's kind of pretty," and I'll take a picture of that and maybe go back to it later. But no, I love taking pictures of people. Uh, After that, probably still life. I like still life a lot. So
Yeah. So I think that brings us to a nice round out point in the show. And at this point, I too have a reappropriated version of the Proust personality questionnaire because I love the Inside the Actor Studio.
I love that
and
too.
they end with that. It's one of my favorite Ruddy shows, and it gives a good way to kind of get an insight as to how you think, more so than the answers to the questions. And that's always fun. So Courtney, my version goes a little bit something like this. What's your favorite word?
Oh, my favorite word. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite word?
Uh, it's a curse word.
Of course it is. That's absolutely fine. But I will say this: there's your favorite curse word later on.
Yeah.
Although this is your least favorite, so go ahead.
It's the S word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The S word for poop.
Yes.
It's
It's not that I don't like hearing people say it. I don't mind whatsoever. I just don't like the way it sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So then, what sound or noise do you love?
I love the sound of a heartbeat.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
Nails on a chalkboard.
That's
Any
a rough
kind
one.
of a screeching, like any kind,
Yeah.
like a dentist's drill or something like that. Oh my god.
I just discovered a new one the other day when I was using an X-Acto knife on some corkboard.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. So what hero or heroine do you identify with the most?
Oh my god.
Yeah, now we start getting a bit more obscure.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not that. It's that I was not complete. I just am like, oh god, what kind of hero do I? I don't know, honestly. I mean, I know like heroes and stuff like that I like. I don't really think that I identify with them all that much. My favorite, I don't know if he's a hero. I like Nightcrawler from X-Men. He's like my favorite. I don't know why, but I don't know, because he's weird, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like that's sort of like me. It's like I was always that person who just like I liked more of the weird stuff. I played with boy toys whenever I was growing up, so I wasn't like the girly girl. I wasn't like your girl next door type thing, and I guess that's why I like him so much. It's just because he's weird. He's himself, but he's kind of weird. So
yeah. So what villain or villainess?
Villain or villainess? I'm gonna go back to X-Men. Mystique.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I identify with her. It couldn't be another thing because she's a little bit weird, but I don't know. I like her personality. Her personality is just something that I like.
And the ability to just blend in and be other people would be kind of nice too.
Oh my god, I love that so much. Like shape-shifting, if I could have a magical power, it would be shape-shifting.
I mean, the thing is, I love people watching so much and like eavesdropping and knowing things that I shouldn't know and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's another thing because like you depending on what type of person you are, people treat you completely different. So you could just go out one day and be a bunch of different people and see how people react to you. That's pretty awesome.
I know, and that's like the temptation isn't necessarily to use the powers for evil.
Yeah.
It's to use the powers for this very interesting exploration of humanity that no one would ever know about.
It is.
You know, that you could never tell anybody the results because then they would have to tell you how you did it and they would cut you apart.
Yeah.
But,
but you would know
it would be so interesting. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that one. That's really good. So then that would be your superpower, you just said.
Yes, that would be my superpower.
That was my next question.
Okay, yeah. No, shape-shifting would definitely. I've always loved shape-shifting. Always loved it.
Oh, what would be your super weakness?
My super weakness would be wow. What would my super weakness be? Help me out with this one. What would your super weakness be? That would help me a lot.
Mine?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
This
see?
wasn't a question
Do
when
you
I got
see?
asked this before.
Do you see how hard it is?
It would probably be food.
Food. Okay.
Something food related, lasagna, something. One of my more favorite foods.
See, I don't want to sound fat, but food sounds like a pretty good weakness to me.
Yeah.
Just because
I can't.
Because it always comes down, because I love working out. So it always comes down to okay, if I have this piece of pizza, how many squats am I gonna have to do? So it's one of those things and I'll always do it because I want the piece of pizza.
My super weakness would be if I have this donut, I get really huge, like that kid from Hook, and then I can like roll myself into a ball and do more damage that way. So it's still a utility thing. It's just also a weakness because I don't look like this anymore.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So what turns you on creatively, Spirit? What kind of gets your wheels going?
Looking at other people's work.
Yeah.
That's honestly what gets me the most creative, is by following people who I either admire or I admire their work. And I'll just sit there and just browse all of their stuff, and more likely than not, I'll just get insanely inspired by something. So.
And what's the one thing that a person can do to just completely turn you off?
Be cocky.
Yeah?
Yeah. I can't stand ego.
So what advice would you give to your 13-year-old self?
I would tell her to chill out. Because I grew up, I was such an anxious little child, and I worried about everything, and I was a very anxious child. So I would literally tell her, it's going to be okay. Like, the things that you're worrying about now are going to happen later, much later in life, but they're going to happen, and just chill out. I would just tell her to chill out, basically.
Off topic, do you have any siblings?
I do not. I was an only child.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll do it too. I was the oldest child, and so I had a lot of that worry and anxiety as well, but it also had a lot to do with my siblings as well. Yeah. But only children, yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of cousins, though, so I kind of consider them my siblings in a way. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So what is something that only you do?
That only I do?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
What's a thing that you do that you think is wholly unique to you? Some silly, stupid habit that you have where you touch the door frame 3 times when you're walking out of it.
Oh.
Me, for example, I usually tap 2 times on things that I go around. I've been doing that since I was like 8.
I've seen people who do that, yeah.
And it's kind of like I need to touch everything kind of thing, but it's also I'm over here, I'm over here.
I have to straighten things. It's not really an OCD thing, because I'm not OCD, but if I see something that's the least bit crooked, I'll go out of my way to straighten it up. So it's either that or I bounce my leg a lot, especially whenever I'm nervous or something. People know me by me bouncing my leg.
Yeah.
So I bounce, and I will get that thing going too. Like, it goes really fast.
You get complaints from all the way down the other end of the bench that you're sitting on, like, freaking stop!
Yeah, it's funny too.
It's like, I didn't even know.
I didn't
even
know.
I'm sorry.
I was doing it. I'm so sorry. And then I get self-conscious. I'm like, oh gosh. But I can be sitting in a car with someone, and all of a sudden they're like, why is the car vibrating? And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
I don't know.
I don't know why it's vibrating.
Yeah, it's not me. I swear.
Oh, it magically stopped. Oh, I wonder why.
Yep. So what's your favorite curse word?
It's the C word.
You can go ahead and say it, dear.
I love cunt.
There you
It's
go.
my favorite word.
You see, it feels so good to say.
It's the best word to say ever. And people get so offended by it, and I feel so sorry right now if anybody is offended by that word. I'm so sorry. But I love it. It just feels so good whenever you're saying it, especially if you're angry. It just feels so good. It just gets it out.
I love the liberties that British people get to take with it. I mean, it's almost expected to be every 4th word after fuck every 2nd word.
Yeah, it is.
Which is my favorite.
Did you ever watch the show Skins?
No. I've yet to see that.
Because they have an American version, but they also have the British version, which is so much better because it just is. But they use that word all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, you use that word. It's great. But it's funny. I love watching the different culture differences and what they take more importantly than what we do and all that sort of stuff. It's really cool.
Me too. I was in a conversation the other day with a friend of mine who lives in Canada, and she was talking about how Newfoundland people are considered like the southern people of Canada.
Okay, really?
And yeah,
weird.
right? And it's how I love finding out the other colloquialisms and stereotypes of places, and how they still kind of like are able to put it in terms that we understand, but it's still totally different.
Yeah.
You know? And so like I still don't quite understand what she meant.
Did they basically call them the redneck Canadians?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
That's really.
But I mean, the thing is, you can find rednecks 10 miles out of every major city.
Can.
I mean,
you
it's just a way of living. It's not necessarily a location.
Yeah.
And that's funny too. I mean, you can see people up in Illinois who are just like, oh yeah, they're a bunch of rednecks with those like lows, but they're miles north of the Mason-Dixon line.
They are.
And you wouldn't expect them to be there, but they are. That's why the Blue Collar Comedy Tour did so well.
Yeah, because anywhere they go, people were like, I can relate to that.
Yep. So where would you one day like to live?
Truthfully, I don't know. Like, I know that I don't want to spend the rest of my life in Georgia. And truthfully, ever since I was in my late teens or whatever, I've actually loved Texas. I love Texas, and I don't even know why I like it. I don't even know, like, the area that I like. I just love the thought of Texas. So probably, maybe see around there. I'm not sure. But
well, the way I thought about it when I moved here was it's close enough to home, but it's like 15 degrees different.
Yeah, it's
it's the South, but different.
It is.
So it works.
Yeah, I don't know. It's especially different parts of Texas are big in creativity and stuff like that, and more well known. And I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah. I live in the blue island in the middle of the red ocean, so I feel a little bit more privileged in the aspect of being able to say, yeah, Texas is a great place to live for artists and creative people and Democrats in general. Which whatever your political affiliation, people who tend to be a little bit more open-hearted tend to lean a little bit more towards the left usually.
I'm Democrat, so...
Right, exactly. So you can... Stereotypes begin with a kernel of truth.
Yeah.
I think is what we have discovered here today.
Yeah.
So, the last question here. If you had a choice, how long would it take you to respawn after you die?
If I had a choice. Like, are we talking about just the time that I'm dead, or?
The rules are yours to choose.
Okay. I would just respawn immediately.
Yeah? Right back where you were?
Yeah. Just get it going. Like, I'm not one for just idling around doing nothing. So I would just be like, yeah, just respawn.
I've always been a fan of the saying come back, where you come back stronger than you were before you struck me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would do something like that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of our program. Before we go, is there anything you would like to plug before we get out of here?
I would like to plug my Twitter and my website. My Twitter is Courtney Crawford without the Y. And because, characters and whatnot. And my website is just makersmojo.com.
And her Twitter handle has been underneath her the whole time. You'll find links to both her website and her Twitter account down in the description below. You've been watching this on youtube.com/Tim Leftwich. My name is, of course, Tim Leftwich. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. As always, we'll see you next time.